And gentlemen, so far we've been talking a lot about hardware. We've heard about modular construction, we've heard about 3D printing, we've heard about so many other things, but now we're going to talk about the software side of constructing a world-class building. If you look at your agenda, concept number 3, the need for energy management systems in real estate projects of the GCC. When I spoke to Simon Hopkins from Trend Controls a little earlier about this presentation, I asked Simon, okay, why is it that the audience has to listen to this presentation? What is the most compelling or appealing thing that you're going to talk about? And Simon told me that, this presentation, the audience, that's all of you, you're going to be hearing about concepts like big data analytics. You're going to be hearing about IoT. You might have heard a lot about this in the newspapers, in the press, etc. But how do you actually implement it? How do you actually take that big data, simplify it, and use it in a way that's practical for you? Simon Hopkins is going to answer those questions. So Simon, the stage is all yours.
I'll take this on. I've got a bit of a dilemma that I wasn't sure whether to have a third hand, to trust this microphone or to keep with this microphone and go off script. So I think in the interest of getting to the coffee break earlier, I'll go off script and then maybe we'll make time up. Okay. That's in reverse. Okay, just to say thanks to everybody for being attentive, and I'm going to talk about the need for building energy management systems and some opportunities for GCC projects. My name's Simon Hopkins. I'm new to Doha. I've been working for Trend Controls for about 3 months in Qatar, so I'm quite new to the area, but I have over 20 years experience in building energy management systems and building automation systems. And over half of those years were working as an engineer on site, getting the systems to work. So I've got good experience in the area. What I'm going to talk to you about is an introduction about why I'm here, and what are the market drivers around at the moment. I'm also then going to ask the question or try and answer the question for what is the need, what is the crucial sort of aspect for people that are here and how will it benefit you. And then I'm going to go on to a couple of the opportunities and explain about visualizing the building performance and centralizing building management. Okay, so as I was introduced there, and one of the things that I've noticed, and if you read a lot of blogs and technology columns, there's a lot of information and a lot of comment about sort of this Internet of Things and the availability of data. So what I kind of wanted to do is just basically go through some of these sort of hot topics in the industry. So Internet of Things, big data, enterprise solutions. Now, the Internet of Things, as you may well be aware, it's this idea of connected devices with IP addresses, and then connected together using Ethernet and streaming this information to the cloud. And as a consequence of that, the idea being that all of these connected devices will create this massive information and data that can be used. And the idea then is that we'll make useful use of that data to help developers and business managers use the information to help their businesses. There are different elements in the Internet of Things that are different sort of areas one of which is very much in the buildings. There's also applications within medical, transportation. One of the things that we're obviously interested in is on the building Internet of Things. And it occurred to me that actually, whenever you read about this and it's available in articles, it always seems to be this kind of idea or concept that's somehow in the future. It's not quite with us now. So I wanted to try and sort of debunk that myth a little bit and actually sort of try and explain how you can use the information that's available through your energy management system and how you can actually sort of do that today. Okay, so that's a bit of the background side of it. So one of the things that you'll probably want to ask is, well, okay, that's all very interesting and very technical, Simon, but how does that affect me? Why should I care about this mass of information? And this is something that very much we've heard about before today from the gentleman from the Qatar Green Building Council and the American Institute of Architects, that it's down to the energy consumption side of things. So because the cost of energy is rising at a significant rate, we're also aware that overconsumption may be contributing to climate change. I had a statistic from a previous company I worked for that by 2030 it's anticipated that the increase in demand for electricity would be by 50%. But by protocols such as Kyoto Agreement, we're being driven to use 50% less if possible. So we need to be very conscious that energy is at a premium, and ultimately, the more energy consumption that you have, the greater your utility bills are. And if we can save, or if we can cut our bills, then we can save and make profits on the bottom line. Okay, and another bit of an aside in terms of the business drivers. One of the things, it's a bit of a key aspect in my mind, in terms of when control systems are designed. In order to maximize the benefits of big data and all of this information that can be available, we have to make sure that the building that is going to be occupied and used, which will have a life cycle of up to 20 years, that's the most efficient building possible. So there are certain stages in the procurement of a building which all add to actually getting the most energy efficient building. So at the architect stage, I know we've got architects in here, obviously there'll be some very good energy ideas and to make sure that all of the current technologies are applied. And the architects will work very closely with the consultants to make sure that vision is put down on paper. We also then get to the contractor's interpretation of this specification, and that sometimes, depending on how the building is procured, the contractor's interpretation can sometimes, particularly if it's a design and build type job, can maybe get a little bit away from what the architect's vision was in terms of, where the savings in terms of the project build might be made, and also then the last stage of the energy efficiency side of it, from a controls perspective, is the actual implementation of the controls design. The one thing I would say here, while I've got an audience of developers and consultants, is it's critical through this process that the end user tries to be as active as possible in steering and making sure that their desire to have an energy efficient building is kept at the front, because sometimes when the jobs are purchased or the procurement is done, on value engineering and things like that, control sometimes can be one of the aspects that is looked at to be, maybe not, something that can be cost saved. Okay, so going forward, one of the things, as I said, that the Internet of Things will develop is this idea of a mass of data. So one of the things we want to try and do is actually visualize this energy information that we have. So what I'm going to go on and show is kind of tools that are available now in terms of being able to visualize your energy data and actually make use of that. This is a typical picture of a building energy management system controller, and also showing the meters and connected devices that are measuring energy within your building. So we have a range of pulse meters for the main utility incomers along the top. We've also then got electrical submeters that are connected to the controller. And also we have potentially some meter devices that might be in locations that aren't convenient for getting cables back to the building. So there are also solutions available whereby you can wirelessly connect meters back to the main controller. So what I'm basically trying to show there is how we can get this data already into a building energy management system. Once you've actually captured that information, the next key thing is to present the information in a way that it actually means something. I mean, this is the whole sort of, idea of where you have big data, is to make sure you can streamline it and funnel it into information that actually sort of means something and business actions can be made on. So what we've actually got here is a slide that shows the idea of keeping the information simple. So we've got a couple of graphs there that show regression analysis on the left, which is basically trying to show how the increase of energy used or consumed rises as the ambient temperature increases as well. So these graphs are basically standard energy management or energy managing engineers graphs that they would be able to use that information and look at what the norm is for one particular year, and then be able to calculate or see quickly whether the next year's energy consumption is lower. And if it's higher, then we'll be able to identify that as well. On the right-hand side, we've got a basic consumption graph of electrical usage, which is the red line, and then in the background of that is an energy profile, which would be what we'd expect to use for the particular day. So quite easily, it's possible to see where there might be some overshoots in terms of energy consumption against what the desired usage. The other way of looking at information that's presented is in a dashboard scenario. There may look like there's quite a lot of information on this page, and it may be that this particular type of graphic is more appropriate for somebody working within the facilities department. So what we've tried to sort of show here is the opportunity to see really important metrics within the building as if it was sort of like an airplane cockpit, so that you've got important temperatures, time schedules, whether we've got consumption graphs, so we can get an instant look at what the information is live from a building. We can also use touchscreen displays at important locations around the building, whether that's a hotel reception or in a foyer for a building. So we can actually take the energy data that we have from the main building energy management system and then sort of display this to customers. The other aspect is energy displays. So this, again, sort of shows graphically the information that we've collected through the BMS, and we can also show on this image some video streams or other important information from the business, and this can act as sort of like an information portal to employees that are working within the building or customers in a hotel. So again, another important aspect of the sustainability idea is that we can show corporate responsibility in terms of our awareness and what we're doing to try and tackle increased energy consumption. So ideas like this, energy displays that allow us to show the information to our customers or our employees, gains a little bit of engagement from the people who matter. The other important thing that we can do, because a lot of the BMS systems now are web served, so we can actually get this information on our iPods, iPads, and iPhones. So the mobilization of data becomes quite straightforward. The other aspect and benefit from sort of the Internet of Things concept was, as well as being able to monitor energy and be able to act on using energy in the most efficient way possible, there are benefits to be had from centralizing the data and being able to make business decisions. And so this slide here is a little bit busy, but what we're trying to show here is steps and stages which allow us, or which show where we go from a control system at the bottom of the pyramid, which is sort of separate and not very well aligned. We can then connect and create a common BMS platform, and in doing that we can allow the opportunity to have standards in terms of set point control. So if we wanted to make sure that that we apply standards that we have across the company or globally, then we can do that by having a common BMS platform. The next step is the connection side of things, where we can actually connect sites or different hotels together and be able to manage the systems from a central location. What this actually then provides is the gateway to some of the other services and enhanced services that we're able to provide through remote services. So where we have connected and centralized systems, we're able to use the connectivity and use the ability to be able to get into the BMS system from outside to be able to do some intelligent remote support. So we can either have systems set up on site such that the monitoring is generated and monitored by the staff that are running the site, or the information can be sent to a monitoring bureau, and they can escalate alarm activity or okay. So we're also able to create profiles for the condition-based monitoring. Again, we're making use of web-served data performance, and all the systems have SQL databases so that actually we can create, we can actually sort of create queries to get the most out of the information that we have. This slide shows a little bit more on the performance profiling, and again, it shows the advantage of having the information presented in a way that it can actually allow us to make some decisions and understand whether we're using more energy than we were. We have this system installed on a site in Doha at the Ras Gas Towers, where they installed the Trend BMS system and this energy monitoring software in the new fit-out building in the Palm Towers. And they were able to calculate that they reduced their energy spend by over 40% from the previous building that they occupied. So it is used at the moment, and it's used to great effect. The other aspect of what building IoT estimates will be a really great advantage, and this is also available now, is how to use the information that the building energy management system creates and actually give you some simple information to understand that shows what your health of your system is, and can also allow us to do some analysis to identify what plant needs to be looked at and whether certain plants being inefficient, and we can focus the maintenance efforts on those areas rather than a traditional planned preventative maintenance program, which might take over a year to go round. This targeted kind of information can allow us to identify whether items of plant are working correctly or inefficiently, and be able to act on those. And also, this information allows us to take the BMS data and actually integrate it into other systems locally on a facility sense. So we can also integrate the building energy management system with other systems such as the guest room management system, lighting systems, fire and security. So we can actually sort of integrate and get the most benefits out of all the systems working together. And ultimately it is to make sure that we get the best use of the system. The last point on the slide there also gets to this other aspect where we can see that the information that is on the facility side of things can be integrated into a full management information system. And this is where some of the information that's being calculated and stored by the BMS can be used to help finance decisions and other aspects within the organization. There's other elements in terms of the technology that's required to take that forward, but in terms of actually having the integrated facility side of things, the ability to do that is in place now. So just as a summary, 8 reasons to use building energy management systems in GCC countries. Basically, it'll save you money. It might just be that a good energy management system controls package is about 1% of the overall cost of a construction project. But over the 20 years, say, that the building will be, its life cycle, it'll save you 30% of your energy costs year on year. So, say it's a real sort of belief of mine that people who are developing buildings, ideally, should really try and make sure that the incorporation of BMS is there. It shows a commitment to corporate and social responsibility. It provides that engagement with employees and customers, promotes that healthy working environment, which studies have shown that with a healthy working environment, we actually get better productivity out of our employees. So we have efficient control of resources, can be part of an enterprise strategy, make better facilities management decisions, and also can form part of a smart city, smart grid ethos, which is another sort of hot topic at the moment. So thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you very much then.